Game 3, Mavs-Thunder goes to the Dallas Mavericks 105-101. Dallas up 2-1 in this series. Morgan, we've talked so much about Kyrie Irving throughout the playoffs. First couple of games of this series, the scoring output hasn't totally been the same. He took like a total of 22 shots. Today in the second half, he was really aggressive. But I just love how Kyrie Irving's playing overall. He finally got it going, I think, more with the offense in the second half.
Yeah, and that's when it matters most sometimes in games like this, right? When it's close down the stretch, when you need your leaders to really step up most. And Kyrie steps up with his scoring ability. Now, I feel like throughout the game, though, he still does such a good job of obviously being that floor manager, distributing the basketball. You know, he finished this one with 7 assists. And even that number we have obviously seen higher, but everyone else has to make their shots as well. I just feel like his presence on the floor just causes so much attention. And then you saw it here in that second half, just him being able to take over and get to his spots.
He just makes plays. And Dallas needs his scoring, though, and I'm glad he looked to be more aggressive. I think going forward, he's got to turn that on more. He finishes with 22 points in this game, 14 in the second half. In that first half, though, OKC's bringing help. And I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're Oklahoma City. It's like, okay, if you bring help, are you going to help off PJ Washington now?
Yeah.
PJ in his career hasn't been a good three-point shooter. PJ the last 2 games is knocking down threes at an unbelievable rate. He's hit 12 threes the last 2 games.
Wow.
So if you're OKC, it's like, well, if we help off of him, we got to... What happens if he makes it?
Yeah.
Are we just going to play those odds? Or are we going to let Kyrie cook one-on-one like late in that game when the Mavs needed a basket? Jalen Williams is playing physical, up on him, amazing defense. Kyrie somehow gets a step on him, finishes with the left hand. So it's like, okay, go ahead and defend him one-on-one. What are you supposed to do?
And Kyrie is one of the most talented one-on-one players to ever play the game. I think there was 2 times when he mishandled the basketball in this one, and it might have been early on. It could have even been in the second half. And I remember Hubie talking about he's one of the best ball handlers out there. This is crazy. We don't usually see that. It wasn't even a forced mishandle by OKC's defense. So then when he did become focused and get things going late there, especially on Williams, I mean, just going down, trying to work him, spins one way, spins the other, fade away, over long arms. I mean,
that play was nasty because Dort kind of came over from help. He rejected that, spun right, came back left.
Yeah, it's nasty what we've been able to see him to do. But I think what's made Kyrie so fun and his presence so fun out there, obviously offense is sexy. That can be great. Defensively, I mean, how many times do we see him just poking a basketball, getting his hands on something, just being active on the defensive end? Let's see. He did end up finishing with 1 steal today, but I mean, there was this other play. I think it might have been SGA or Jalen Williams, whoever it was. They went down to the basket. They stayed with it, but Kyrie still got a hand on it. He still poked it away, disrupted the play. They ended up still being able to make something of it. But yeah, it's just been fun to watch Kyrie, even if he doesn't start off super hot.
PJ Washington. What more can you say about what he has brought to this Dallas team?
This is what they want.
If you look at his 3-point numbers this year, they haven't been good, okay? But it's like, well, how much do you put stock into it? Because he's playing with the Hornets, the spacing's different. He's not playing with Luka and Kyrie.
Right.
In Dallas, he is getting wide open looks. Now, in the last couple of games, he is knocking down these wide open looks.
Yes.
He's also attacking. He's playing awesome defense. He finishes with 27 points to lead the Mavs in scoring, 11 of 23 shooting, 5 of 12 from 3.
5 of the 11 3-pointers made
Wow.
by the Mavericks, right? So without his 3-point makes, I mean, trouble.
Yeah.
You're just thinking trouble, because you know who else is trouble on OKC? It's Chet. Chet in the middle defensively. We'll talk about that more coming up. But you have to be able to make your outside shots if you're the Mavs, because there's so much disruption on the inside with Chet. Obviously, OKC doing a good job of packing the paint, making sure others aren't penetrating and getting in there as well. But truly, for PJ to knock down his threes at this level, it can be deflating. It's a great way to not allow, obviously, OKC to just get the ball and go the other way in transition. You know what they're capable of doing with some of their younger guys. So, yeah, PJ Washington, he's been huge. It's been it's frustrating because sometimes you look at the trade deadline and you go, okay, they did a lot for PJ Washington, and it wasn't truly translating into possibly what they needed around Luka and Kyrie. You've seen it take this leap in the postseason, and this is, again, when it matters most.
The other thing I thought he did a good job of defensively, there was one play in the first quarter where SGA loves getting people up on the pump fake.
Yes.
He didn't bite on it, had a great contest. And then offensively, it's not just knocking down threes. I think it's taking advantage of opportunities. When OKC elected to go small tonight or today, they had Jalen Williams in for Chet. It felt like PJ was like, this is my time. Like, Chet's not there to alter things. I'm going to go ahead and attack. He's playing smart on both sides of the ball, knocking down the three, and OKC may be forced to adjust. I think some OKC fans or even NBA fans would be like, well, no, trust the numbers. He'll go back to the mean. Fine. He may not be able to shoot 50% from three this entire series.
Sure.
But if he shoots 40%, that's still pretty good. I think his confidence is at like an all-time high right now, and I'm not taking the bet. If you're going to give him open threes, he's probably going to knock him down now.
You know, they were talking to Kyrie after the game on the broadcast and asked him about PJ Washington and just how important it is basically for him to also step up. And it's very important when you look at the numbers, you look at the points, you look at the W at the end of the day. But he also mentioned something like, it's so great when we can all go into that locker room happy, knowing that we all touched the basketball and did our jobs. And I was like, that's, you know, that's just a side of things that you realize, that morale, that mentality of feeling that joy, not just because you got the W, but because you also contributed to it on a team that has Luka, that has Kyrie. You're stepping up, you're doing your job, you're doing what you're supposed to do in this role in the NBA.
And they're doing it right now when Luka has not been efficient with his shot for the most part in the playoffs. I think he's now shooting 26% from three in the playoffs. Well, they're 6-3. Today, Luka had 22 points, 15 rebounds. That was a big factor tonight.
Huge.
5 assists. He was 7 of 17 shooting, just 1 of 4 from three. He had to deal with Lou Dort. Seemed like both of those guys were having a contest about who could like flop more at times.
Yeah. No,
who won that battle? I think Dort won it today.
Which is
Dort was the flop champ.
He was the flop champ.
Dude.
You know, had a little flying knee into Luka.
Oh my God, what is he doing?
I don't know. Just being a little reckless with his body, but still remaining aggressive.
But the point is, like, Luka in his playoff career has been a guy, I think they show on the broadcast, like 32 points a game. He's always had to carry the load.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, they could win a game when he's not efficient because Kyrie can make something happen, because PJ Washington stepping up. You know, Derek Lively hitting free throws when they're going hacka lively down the stretch. When other guys are knocking down shots, it makes life a little bit easier. And they're playing defense.
Yeah. No, and playing defense, obviously, I feel like the effort that you put forth on defense, like if you're just any basketball team, what it can do for your team on the offensive end is just, there's something different to it, right? It's because you're all teaming up together without the basketball to figure it out and do something. I mean, how many times do we talk about Luka and his adrenaline when he has the basketball in his hand compared to when he starts to limp on the defensive end at times? Now, that didn't happen a lot today, but my point is, it's like, yes, the type of power, the type of magic that can come from the defensive end, and you're seeing this team do it a lot together. I said this to you, though, first about the Mavs defense coming into today's game. I thought they were playing really flat. I thought the perimeter defense was shit. I thought the OKC was penetrating to the paint. They were getting some easy shots.
They were
in
hunting.
the paint.
They were hunting switches early in that first half and did a great job. It's like they were not, in my opinion, they weren't like they were hunting out Luka. Jalen Williams did it a few times, even getting Gafford on the perimeter. You put the defense in a compromising position, then guys are having to help, and then it's trouble because you have to. I mean, you're in scramble mode at that point. They definitely had a lot of breakdowns.
Yeah,
in that first half.
And that's again what was so great is to see those adjustments be made, and it wasn't just adjustments with their strategy of what they were trying to do. It was also adjustments with their mentality, the way that they were going to close out on somebody, the way that they were going to stay active with somebody, and also the way that they were rebounding. That effort alone, Deuce, that is truly what helped them push them to win this game.
Second half, rebounding, getting stops, allowed them to get out on the break.
Yep.
They had no fast break points in the first half They had 7 in the third quarter, 11 in the second half. They got out and pushed the pace. And that's when they're like really, really dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You get cross matches, you're attacking the basket. I thought they were fantastic. They had that huge run in the third quarter where they go on a 16-0 run.
Jeez.
I mean, there was that one sequence too, and this goes back to what we're talking about with PJ. So Dort's defending Luka one-on-one. SGA helping off the corner, shading over just in case he has to come over in the help. Well, PJ's wide open for 3, and Luka just makes the right decision, finds PJ, buries the 3.
And it was right after, though, Luka had worked Dort into the paint and ended up finishing some nice little floater in the paint, whatever. So SGA was trying to sag because he's like, okay, we're not going to let that happen again. But then he also didn't trust Jalen Williams, J-Will, not J-Dub, down on the block with Lively. He didn't trust him enough to be like, all right, is he going to come up and maybe help out with Luka a little bit, leaving PJ wide open.
And this is the problem when facing Dallas. If they have other guys around Luka and Kyrie, those guys command so much attention. And if you have shooting around it, it's really tough.
Yes. Well, not only if you have shooting around it, if you have like we talk about those bigs and the lob threat. And Derek Lively, even tonight, I thought he was doing obviously a great job of remaining aggressive, even if he was a little soft sometimes around the rim.
He's got to finish better.
He missed 2 dunks. When I say miss, it was going hard, bouncing off the back of the rim, whatever. And he's doing, but this is the tough part about it. He's doing what he can do as a rookie and against Chet effing Holmgren, who finished with how many blocks?
He ended up with 4 blocks. I think all those were in the first half too. But
only 4? I swear it felt like
I think they
20.
might have taken 1 away. But I'm looking back at my notes. First quarter, Chet had great contests on PJ, Lively, Jones, Gafford. 3 blocks in that first quarter. Then he had that block on Hardaway on help. I thought he blocked PG on the post move. So maybe you're right. He should have had 5 blocks.
Thank you.
Third quarter, this is when Chet's still in the game. PJ goes to attack. And look, PJ was going aggressive with attack. If that was anybody else, PJ's going up to try to dunk it. Instead, he tries a tough floater, thought about it, missed it. The next time, Chet goes up with both arms up, and PJ misses a shot. Chet's defense in this game specifically at the rim was amazing.
You want to talk about the epitome of disruption. I mean, how many times you and I looked at each other and were like, that's because of Chet. Like, it was just a missed shot. It wasn't even fully it's just Chet with his arms up. It's not, Chet hustled out, got a hand in his face, and found every way to almost get his hand on the ball. It was just Chet with his goddamn arms up in the air. And it's like, how are you supposed to even see the basket at that time? At that point, you have to get it way up there off the glass if you want it to have a chance going in, or you have to hope that your big can clean up your mess that you're going to possibly throw up there. All because Chet Holmgren and what he's doing right now in the paint, it's absolutely fantastic.
I thought the best was when they tried to attack him. I think it was in the second half with Lively on a pick and roll, and Lively got behind Chet a little bit because Lively came up a little bit. Chet came up a little bit. Lively got around him. The lob was there, and that goes to if you're dealing with Kyrie Irving, it's such a dangerous guy. You want to come up a little bit and be long, but Lively's a lob threat.
Yep.
But Chet, I thought, was great defensively. I think here's my thing with OKC right now. You can go ahead and put SGA every game for 29, 30, 8, 9 assists, 8, 9 rebounds, close to double-digit free throw attempts. To start this series, they haven't gotten enough from Jalen Williams or Chet offensively. And this kind of goes with what you're saying with Derek Lively. There's a lot of pressure on these young players to contribute. And I think Jalen Williams has shown some amazing things defensively. And I even think his playmaking today, hunting out switches, he did some really nice things for OKC, but they need him to score more.
Yeah.
And he's not at this point, right? They need Chet to score more and be more efficient. And those two guys haven't scored. If you look at the last 2 games, Chet last 2 games combined has 24 points. J-Dub has 36. Well, look at what PJ Washington's been able to do during that stretch. He has been a monster, probably like 50+ points.
Yeah. No, I think when you do look at OKC, we always go, oh, can you rely on SGA? I mean, he drives the ball to the basket the most in the entire league. He gets into the paint the most, whatever. But I think that's what was making OKC good throughout the regular season was the contributions from everybody.
Yep.
And not just, they weren't just relying on one player. They're relying on this team concept that they play with. I think they're so well coached. I've mentioned that so many times. Like you were seeing things, a little bit of everything from everybody, right? So for this postseason, I don't know if it's just like a youth thing and they have to like change their mentality. I feel like they're confident enough people.
Oh, they are.
I don't feel like the moment is too big,
No.
but truly it's as simple as that. It's be more aggressive. Look for yours. This is a Mavs defense that, yes, has strung together some really good defensive games down the stretch of the regular season and in the postseason. But there's no reason why you can't score on them, especially when you have an offensive threat like SGA who can get into the paint every single possession.
I think they deserve some credit. And it's crazy to say this when SGA still has 31 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks today.
Yeah.
He also had 5 turnovers. He was 10 of 23. I felt like they did much better defending without fouling, containing him. It didn't feel like he was shredding them in the paint the entire game. Seemed like he had a lot of mid-range opportunities. Like Derek Jones had some nice moments on him. So did PJ. But he's still going to get his because he's just a ridiculously talented player.
Yeah, but you're exactly right, though. They did. It's not that they slowed him down, but they helped mess with his game a little bit, right? Make him think twice. And that's why I think he was missing some of the shots that are usually so automatic for him around in the mid-range, near the basket. Felt like a lot of those were just going in and out. And it didn't feel like an unlucky night. It felt like, oh, this Mavs defense is finally doing something else against him. Again, when I say doing something else against him, because I personally did not like the way that they came out defensively, but I do love the way that they shifted. And I love the way when you talked about that run, OKC was up at that point and had one of their biggest leads of the game. And I just thought the resiliency of the Mavs, the way that they turned it on out of a timeout and just kept going. Gafford, let's mention him really quick because he had that hand injury in that last game. And then in this one, you just don't know if it's hurt. You don't know if he's okay.
He's got a shoulder thing now. He's banged up.
Ended up playing 19 minutes, had 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. Still just playing big, just being a body out there, especially when they need him and his minutes.
Yeah, we should go to Hack-A-Lively for a second, too,
Okay.
because this is something that happened in the game, and, man, I don't know if I like it, and I don't want to be the guy that doesn't like it because I didn't feel like it really worked. So Dagnall decides to go with Hack-A-Lively when the Mavs are up 94-90 at 5:55. He goes 1 for 2 the first time. He eventually knocks down his free throws down the stretch, but it was interesting because a minute later, Kid decides to go small. And this is the first time we've seen this where PJ Washington's at the 5. And Dagnall's chest move, because this is when Jalen Williams is in the game. So they go with Jalen Williams in for Chet. And so they go with Hack-A-Lively. Lively goes out.
Yeah.
They put Hardaway in, goes small. Then Dagnall puts Chet in the game.
Yes.
And Chet had that, look, it was pretty bad. It was a second chance opportunity, which
On
was the
Hardaway.
and way, but it was a push in the back. Should have been called for a foul. Got the and one, and then immediately Kid goes back and puts Lively back in the game. Lively ended up making free throws down the stretch. But it's interesting because, 1, they decide to go that route. But 2, Dallas doesn't have Maxi Kleber, right? Like, they probably put him in that situation, which is a little easier. Dagnall made Kid think a bit here. But what do you think of him going with Hack-A-Lively?
I'm with you where I don't want to be that person. I mean,
Play defense.
No, here's the thing though. I mean, coach of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an NBA coach. I'm not going to question this. And you almost got back into the game with the way that it was starting to work when Lively was missing some free throws. As a basketball fan and someone viewing the game, it's so boring. I hate it. I don't like it at all. I hate free throws. It's something hot take here. I love how the NBA G League, they shoot one free throw for 2 points. So many people hate it. 1 free throw for 3 points. I love it so much. speeds. It's not about speeding up the game. It's just like the free throw line bores me, and then you have some people that take forever, take advantage. So with this though, for me at the end of the game, it's just like such a downer when I'm viewing it, when I'm watching it, consuming it. But I think for them trying it out all the way until almost that 2-minute mark where they couldn't do it anymore, I was like, okay,
he
it's a
did
strategy.
it until he made the free throws. And then he goes, okay, well, we're not going to hack him anymore. But, you take Dallas out of rhythm. Maybe you get in Lively's head. Maybe you make Kidd go, hey, are you going to put banged up Gafford in the game?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go PJ at the 5? Because then we kind of like our chances because we feel like we're bigger than you. That's going to be a theme, is the rebounding too, because this was huge. It ended up not being a crazy-ass gap by the end of it, but Dallas dominated. It was 48-41. Offensive rebounds were 15-6, and most of those for OKC came in the fourth quarter. Second chance, 16-9.
Yeah, that was a huge difference in this game. And it wasn't just because of what the number and the actual stat that you see there. It was the eye test. Watching the way that Dallas was going after some of those offensive rebounds and the effort, the hustle was there. And not to say OKC like just didn't have it. It was just different from them. I felt like I used the same term yesterday in the game that we watched last night, Nugget T-Wolves. There wasn't this sense of urgency of going after that basketball at times. It was a little bit sloppy. Dort throwing his body. You had Chet pushing guys down. You saw, and not in a physical, like, I'm trying to box out and get this board. But I also think the Mavs did a good job gang rebounding when Chet would get one of his offensive rebounds down in the fourth quarter. I remember then the next play down, they didn't allow it to happen. They put their bodies on him. They made sure that they were going to get the rebound first.
It wasn't just one guy either. The offensive rebound, you had, 5 guys with 2 or more. Jones had 2, PJ had 2, Kyrie had 2, Luka with 3 offensive rebounds, Lively with 3.
It's just impressive. And I think when you look at those rebounding numbers, that's something else that OKC is going to look at in this next one and go, okay, like, how do we make that a point of emphasis to make sure that we are getting in position, that we are putting a body on somebody first? I don't want to forget about this, so I do want to mention this because I've complained about this so many times throughout the entire season and then throughout the postseason about SGA getting every call that there ever was if someone looks at him wrong. And by the way, which I think is sometimes this skill set that he has to be able to draw those fouls even when it's like marginal contact. Tonight or today, I felt like the officials did a good job of not calling every single thing when it came to SGA. I think it made the game a little bit more fun. I love that SGA wasn't complaining about a whole bunch of things that, like, I think he usually would have gotten the call. So he kept trying to play through it. He was just missing some shots.
Well, let us know what you think about game number 4 coming up. Do you feel that OKC can win this series? Is this just one game? All right, they're going to bounce back after losing a couple. Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast